So calculator is over. Next code is a trigonometry code. Correct. So what we are doing here is this the way we have done the calculator, the addition, subtraction, and division. Now we will be doing the trigonometric operation. So what are those trigonometry operations? The trigonometry operations are sine, cos, and tan. Right. So these all operations we are doing at a server end and sending back the result. It's the same code as a calculator code. Still, I will explain you again so that with a revision it is clear for you. Fine. So we will start with the server code. So at a server code, the important part is we are supposed to include two headers for the socket. They are types.h and socket.h. Then again, we are using the functions like inet underscore addr h2ns. For that purpose, we require inet.h. Correct. In a trigonometry, we are using a sine, cos, tan. That's the reason we required the math.h as well. So first part at the server end is we need to create a socket with a variables, a socket with a parameters as AF underscore INET, which is IPv4 socket, and then the type of a socket as a sock underscore stream, which is a connection oriented TCP socket. TCP sockets are always connection oriented sockets. So here we have created the socket. If the socket call fails, it is going to return a -1. So then we can say that once if we get answer -1 or the answer which is less than 0, then it is your failure in the execution of API. The next step is to define the variables or to define the structures with a type sock addr underscore in. So one structure we require for the server address or the server information, and another we require for the client information. The next task is now to populate the server information in the structure. So we will be populating the server information as AF underscore INET. Then there is the address 127.0.0.1 and the port number. So these all information been populated for the server side. The next part is to bind this particular socket. Right. So now we are binding the socket with the help of the socket FD, the structure and the size of. So bind is going to give or bind is going to specify the memory address or the memory location for a given socket. So once we do a bind, the next task, the next important task at the server end is to listen for the connection. So here I'm at a listen, and then I will move to the client side. In the client side or at a client side, again the same, we have to create a socket. We have to populate a sock addr underscore in structure with a variable, and then do connect. The connect has to be done with a socket FD and the information about the socket. So once I do a connect at the client end, I will be accepting it at a server end. So this accept will be executed at a server end. So this is how my client server communicates. Now after this, there will be a read write which is happening at server and client side. So what the client is going to do? The client is going to ask us user to enter an operation and then to enter an angle in degrees. Correct. So the operation which is entered by the user has to be returned to the server side. So I will be using API as write. At the same time, at a server side, I will be reading this operation. In a similar manner, I will be writing the angle which is entered by the user, because here I am doing a trigonometry calculator which is going to calculate a sine, cos or a tan of a given angle. So I'm writing the angle which is for which the sine, cos or tan is required to a server end. So the server will read the angle by using the read. Now what is the task for the server? The server for the now the server task is to actual perform the operation. The server is going to say calculate the sine of the angle 1 into the value. correct? Value is what? Pi by 180, and then it is going to find the sign for a given value. In the similar manner, it can find the cos for the given value and tan for the given value. If something other than this is entered, then we will be writing as unsupported operations, right? So the server is going to get a result. Now that result has to send back to the client. So there will be a write, right? So write will be writing your result on the connection, on the given connection handle. So this is going to write your result to a client, right? To a given connection handle. Fine. So at a client, we will be reading the result and printing it and then closing the socket. The similar manner at a server end also. So what the client has did, the client has read and closed. Read, printed and close the connection. At the similar manner, the server is also going to close the connection. So this was all about the theory related to the trigonometry implementation. So we will see the program for this. Fine. So there are C trigonometry.c and yes. So how are we supposed to compile GCC minus O? I'm going to create a server object with a name as a server and then compiled a file. Correct. So this has compiled. Okay. Okay. So for this I required minus LM, a support of a math library. Please remember the compilation steps again. Just a second. I will clear this. Okay, so please see here I do ls minus l. I will remove this server, right? So ls minus l. If I simply do gcc minus o server and then I do s trigonometry.c, what I get few errors as undefined reference to sine, cos and tan. So for this functionalities of sine, cos and tan, I required a linkage of the math library. So that linkage of math library will be done with minus L option. So minus O server is trigonometry.c minus LM. So I am linking the math library. So now you can see that my server object is created, right? Similarly, let me compile the client side also. So GCC. Now here I am not using those sine, cos, tan function. So I will be just writing a simple GCC command. So client and then C trigonometry.c. So it has compiled successfully. So now I have received two objects, client executable and a server executable. So dot slash server is going to execute my server. So I'm executing the server as this. So what has been displayed on the screen now? We get a socket created successfully, bind successful, listen successful. Connect successfully still remaining, right? Or the accept successfully still remaining. You see here carefully that accept is still remaining at a server end. Oh, I'm so sorry. Now what I will do, I will be executing the client program here. Sorry. I will be executing a client program here. So once I do a connect from the client, right? What I have received here at a server end, accept successful. I hope you are able to see this accept successful. Good. So now the user has been prompted to enter the operation successfully. So let me enter the operation as 1 because I want to do the sign. So enter the angle in degrees, say 90 degrees. Correct. So operation result from the server is 1.00. So sine of 90 is 1. Did you understood this code? So this is all about the client server programming related to the trigonometry